All right, good. Sounds good. And we see and hear you. All right, guys, how you doing? Thank you so much for tuning into this special edition of the Tim Black Show. This is an amazing lady I have here. Um, for those who don't know who she is, I just want you to know that she is sort of like the heart and soul of the progressive movement in a lot of ways. And I'll tell you that because she made some statements last year that really rocked the world, and it woke a lot of people up to some of the issues that we face. I'm very glad to have her back on the show. This is her second appearance. My friend and your friend, Portia Boulger. Give it up for Portia, y'all. Hey, Portia, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, Tim?
Hey, I'm doing well. Every day above ground is a good day. Ain't that what they say, Portia?
Yeah, the older you get, the more meaning that gets too.
There it is. There it is. So look, guys, Portia's got a lot of great stuff going on. But before we get to that, I just want people who are new to Portia to kind of get a sense for who this lady is, this dynamo is. Portia, could you tell people a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was born and raised in Ross County, where I still live at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. I'm very fortunate to live very close to both of my children and my grandchildren and my great grandchildren. So, talking about being happy for a new day, another day, it's good. But I started early. Very proud of my heritage. Very proud to be Appalachian. Um, I've been a grassroots activist since I was a teenager, and I have always followed the issues as far as candidates. When I vote for candidates, it's not about an R or a D or an I or a green. And by the way, I voted for all four of those in my lifetime because they stood for the issues that are important to me and the people I love. Most recently, this past fall, I organized um, a new group called Appalachians Rising. And our goal is to connect the rural and urban areas across Appalachia in Ohio and moving on into the Appalachian states. We are connecting with the West Virginia Progressive Alliance.
Mm.
And I also have had the honor of being a co founder of a new group called the Ohio Progressive Alliance. And our goals are parallel in that we want to focus on mobilizing, connecting the urban and rural communities so that we can build a strong progressive voting bloc, and also to help encourage and actually assist people to run for office that are progressive, that do focus on issues and not corporate and neoliberal values. We want to bring them together and connect with issues. Right now, a great example of that is our healthcare crisis in America. I don't know anybody that doesn't want to be able to go to the doctor when they need it. I don't know anybody that wants to watch the veterans of our country not have the health care that they deserve. They put their lives on the line for us. There's no reason that we even have to be involved in this conversation, but we are because of a lot of heartless people in Congress. So when we connect with issues, even if we don't agree on everything, we can agree on that and make the world better for everybody. So I'm really excited. Our kickoff event for Ohio Progressive Alliance is called Mobilize 88 Leadership Summit. And that takes place on the first anniversary of the amazing DNC convention in Philly last year. So we chose that date because it's significant. It was a historical time in our country and our world. The whole world was on the eye on Philly that weekend, and although we didn't get what we wanted, which was for Bernie to be the nominee of the Democratic Party, we have done amazing, historical making things across this country. And as a result of that, the Mobilize 88 will be celebrating our accomplishments. We're not going there to bitch about what happened at DNC. We're going to go there to bring people who are like minded together so that we can actually start building a plan of action so that folks, when they go home, will have a template, a map, so to speak, that they can tweak to the culture of their geographic area in Ohio. And we are so honored, Tim, because the great Senator Nina Turner and recently appointed president of our revolution will be there with us, and she will be our keynote. But what's really exciting for me, and as far as I know, first time ever, that Nina's actually going to be a trainer. And that is really kick ass, okay? And she will. So Friday night, we're bringing people together for a reception, and we've got some amazing progressive candidates from across the state of Ohio who will be there that evening to talk a little bit about themselves, but more about rally. It's more of a rally speech. Why is Mobilize 88's vision important? And why did they, during their campaign time, take the time to come on down and be with us? And some of the speakers, you all may know, Tristan Rader. In fact, Nina, she may just be finishing up, but Nina was in Lakewood today, which is up close to the Ohio River, close to Cleveland. And she was at a town hall with Tristan.
Right.
And he's running for city council. Another
Well, Portia,
Portia,
let me jump in here for a minute, because I think we need to ground this conversation in what the power is of the movement that you're trying to create about Mobilize 88, and why that's so important. Because I don't want people to miss the fundamental the importance of this convergence. Like when you talk about putting together urban and rural, that sounds something similar to like Martin Luther King to me. Like that was the idea of the poor people's march, the people's march, the workers' unions. That echoes back to a time when we were on the right path of uniting all people around common issues in our pocketbooks and our wallets and in our communities. And why are we living this way? And though we may live in different parts of the country or different parts of the state, because I know how Maryland, you got your rural and you have your urban as well. But I think we need to unpack that a little bit, Portia, because I think that point, that is something we have to speak on.
Well, it is very much. I mean, Dr. King did speak about that. When you're poor in the ghetto or you're poor in the holler, you're still poor. And you still need to be able to find a good job. You desperately need to be able to feed your children and keep them warm. You need to keep grandma warm, and you need to keep her cool in the summertime. I don't know if folks realize it. There's reports every year during the summer. In particularly, it seems they come out of Chicago, where people were dying of heat exhaustion in low-income areas where they don't even have a fan. So poor is poor, whether you're Black, whether you're white, whether you're Hispanic, whether you're Pacific Rim, whether you're male or female, young or old. Poor is poor. And our goal is to pick up where the real progressive movement within this country left off, because we got smashed down by the Republican Party as a result of corporate money and corporate power through the Koch brothers forming ALEC. I hope everybody educates themselves about ALEC. They are the machine behind why we have Citizens United, why we are losing the power of the unions, why charter schools are trying to take over our public school system. They are paying enormous amounts of money to stop healthcare from being improved. And they started ALEC, that's the American Legislative Exchange Council. And now through ALEC, they have taken over the majority of our state houses across the country, including Ohio. So when the Republican Party became a party that was no longer about the Eisenhower Republicans who were pro-union, they supported the Equal Rights Amendment. They were environmentalists. They were not full of hate. They believed in unions. And then Reagan came along. And in his second term, that's when everything started shifting across the country. So when we connect rural and urban people together and we focus on common issues of poverty and fairness, and it's basically the golden rule, we've got to learn to talk to each other, Tim. One of the learning sessions in our on our weekend at Mobilize 88 will be about how progressives should talk to conservatives.
Mm.
You know, and Noah Changea and
Yes.
Stacey Hopkins from Georgia. Well, they're going to be there. And I can't wait to hear what they've got to say, because I know I will learn from both of them. I do all the time over social media, but they'll be talking about how we connect those movements between rural and urban. And then Nina and Tara Mosley Samples, who is a dear friend of Nina's and a city councilwoman from Akron, will be co-training on the ins and outs of running for office. So when we combine all three of those learning sessions, there will be a lot of focus on connecting the urban with the rural area.
Wow, like that sounds so remarkable. It sounds like just what we need, a learning camp, a boot camp, so to speak, for people who want to get out and get the message out and want to grow grassroots. You truly be a grassroots activist. I mean, this is phenomenal. And guys, this sounds like something that if you want to get involved, this is somewhere you could definitely go and get that resource there. Portia,
Yeah.
how long has this organization, or how long has the Mobilize 88? Is this something that existed before this event, or
We
is it
just,
new?
myself and Matthias Dedamore, and an amazing person who maybe some of you haven't really met yet, is Diane Cook Kaiser. Diane lives around the northeast area of Ohio in the Tiffin area, and she has built our website, and I am really, really proud of it. She's whipped this out in such a short period of time. And Matthias is an amazing organizer. He was a Bernie delegate, and he's from the Dayton area.
Mm.
And he also has a local group that spreads across several counties, actually, called the Miami Valley Progressive Caucus. So the three of us got our heads together and came up with Ohio Progressive Alliance. And the goal was from the beginning to connect rural and urban voters, to get people to run for office. This is so important, guys, and it's not hard, in particularly if you're running for precinct chair. The leadership of the Democratic Party and the leadership of the Republican Party starts at the precinct level. When I first started voting, I was Republican, and I became a precinct chair for my area. Those are the people who make the decisions. When you get on that executive board, that's who nominates the candidates.
Mm.
And it goes all the way up to the national level. So if we put progressives in power in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, and some of you may be thinking, oh yeah, right. Well, guess what? There are progressive Republicans.
What?
They
Hold on, Portia. You just like blew some heads away. I know some heads are exploding right now. Did you just say that there are some progressive Republicans in the House?
Yes, there are. I know some of them, and they are conservative in some ways when you compare Portia to them. But they think that they believe strongly that people should have health care. Mm. They believe very strongly that we should not destroy our earth. There's a huge religious movement within the religion, actually in the Tea Party. Now, this is truth, guys. This is not alternative facts. But one of the co-founders of the Tea Party is now a lead to save our environment.
Wow.
So I would just implore to everyone, stop thinking all D's are alike. Stop thinking all R's are alike. Stop thinking all Greens are alike. I voted for Ralph Nader years ago. And all Greens are not out of their minds. There's a few of them that seem to have fallen over the cliff, okay? But there's Democrats that have fallen over the cliff. People are people in all groups. There's a very...
Yeah, Portia, that's hold tight, because that right there is a point that's missed on a lot of folks, and I've been trying in several ways to try to push people to this perspective that, you know, a title is a title, a name tag is a name tag, but underneath that, there are people who have different variations of beliefs and ideologies, or they're strong on some points and others. So they're points of mutual understanding and mutual agreements that we need to find with these people, because that's how you create a bigger movement. I'm watching the movement go from boom, boom, a lot, like really huge, and it's shrinking because we're like cutting ourselves off from other individuals because of titles, because of labels, so to speak. Have you seen that, and what do you think we can do about it?
I see it all the time. I see it on the internet. I see it within groups of people that I associate with, or come around because of a gathering, all different ways you meet people. I really think that it's critical that we learn to talk to each other.
Mm.
And it's so weird for me to say we need to learn to talk to each other, but we clearly are not using the right language. So instead, when you find out if somebody's, I'll just use green, for example, because I'm seeing a lot of greens get beat up on the internet. And some of them, quite frankly, need a little slapping around verbally, because they're doing things that are very racist. They're making statements that are divisive, and that just can't be. You know, when we look at people who are brown and black, we need to, as white folk, actually embrace our white privilege. Real quickly, I grew up as a poor Appalachian white child. And in my community, in my county, there's only like maybe about 4% people of color here. So it's a very white county. And then within the city of Chillicothe, which is the county seat, I think it goes up to maybe a whopping 7%. But when I was a little girl, very poor, nobody had to tell me, Tim, that I had privilege over the brown and black children around me. My eyes and my ears told me that. So we who are white have to stand with everybody. And the color of our skin doesn't mean shit. It's what about the person? How do they behave? What kind of values do they have? And if we do not bring in the leadership of the women, the black women in particular, because the black men, and I love you, but I have worked in groups where there were black men and white women and brown and black women, and the men tend to try to take over. Not all of them. But quick story, when I was organizing around tradeswomen's issues, because I was a union carpenter back in the 80s, and I started a nonprofit group called Blue Collar Women. And the very first group that I reached out to and had a meeting with was the Minority Trade Association. And so I sat down with their leader. I told him that we wanted to join hands with everybody that was a minority, the men, the women, the black, the brown. And the guy looked at me and said, "You're out of your damn mind. You women are not going to go to work over my black men."
Wow.
And that was in the 80s, and it still eats at me, because if we had joined arms around the issues of getting our fair share of the jobs, we would have just been stronger. So going back to your question, how do we get past all of this? You're a D, so therefore you're bad. You're a black woman, so you're dumb, or you're whatever. All these horrible, horrible thoughts that people buy into. It's about talking to each other. It's about willing to say, hello, I'm who I am, you're who I am, and find something to connect. Find something. If they're a white hair like me, they probably have a grandchild. If they're younger, maybe they're going to college. We can find ways to connect. If you've canvassed for any issue or any candidate at whatever level you're taught, to try to connect with that person in the first few seconds. And you just look around, you know, if you're at the door, you can see a little baby there, or you can see something. and connect around things that we have in common.
Absolutely. That's been like one of my arguments with this entire movement and people. What I've noticed is like, we talk about WikiLeaks, right? We're on the internet. We get access to a lot of information. We don't just listen to corporate news. So we don't realize, we forget that there's this other world of people who don't know what a WikiLeaks is.
Right.
And I told him, hey, Julian Assange, he tweeted out, he watched my video and tweeted it yesterday. They'd be like, who's Julian Assange, bro? I don't know who that is. Julius Irvin? No, I said Julian Assange. So they wouldn't get that. So we have to hit people at home. We have to hit them where they live. We have to talk about things that matter to them. And slowly we introduce these other points or these other issues as they become more entrenched or as they become more exposed to, different things. But I think that's important. And if you're gonna, if you want to actually form a movement that takes hold, and you're like, how do we talk to these people in this area where you talk about things they care about, and then relate that to what your movement's about? But you got to start at home where it matters to them, not just from your bubble or from your perspective. That makes sense.
And like here in my area, people tend to either love me or hate me, and it's troubling in a way. I like those who love me, but people who hate me, I don't really believe they hate me, but they don't like it when women or anybody really, this is not just a gender issue or even a color issue, but we have different levels of rejection based on that, of course. But when I speak out strongly about something, and the other side doesn't like it, well, they just don't like what I'm saying, even when it's truth, because they don't want to hear it. They don't want other people to hear it. They don't want other people to open up their mind for new thinking. I've reached out to several people on Facebook, trying to get them to talk to me a little bit about why they voted for Trump. I had some news outlets reach out to me and ask me if I could help them find some Trump voters that would be willing to talk to the press. And some people, and I asked them to DM me. I wasn't going to discuss it out there on Facebook. And oh boy, did I get attacked. I wouldn't even say some of the things over the live streaming that were said about me and to describe me, that vicious. But and so I could have gotten all torn up about it and, oh my God, Portia's getting attacked on the internet. That's just the way people react when they're afraid of something. There's a few of those people that are probably just mean to the bone, but the majority of those people are not horrible people. They're just saying horrible things. And so as I read through them, I knew some of them were trying to bait me to get me to come on and start engaging in an argument. So, this, hopefully people will think about this when they're trying to connect in the real world. If I go up to somebody and let's say I'm at some kind of public event and I know they're a Trump voter, I'm not going to go up to them and say, hey, why did you vote for Trump? What's that going to do? That's going to put a barrier down. What I'm going to do is say, hello, my name's Portia. I think we met so-and-so time. And it's really nice to see you here today. And try to find a way to just engage in conversation, just general conversation, to get to know each other a little bit. And then if the opportunity presents itself somewhere in that conversation,
right,
you can bring up an issue. Just leave Trump's name out, leave Hillary's name out, leave Bernie's name out, leave Jill Stein's name out, and just talk about issues. Because the minute we start talking about those candidates, somebody's going to get their bristles up.
Right.
And that's not how we connect.
And you know what? All of a sudden the conversation is no longer about whatever the issues that are actual real issues that you can touch. You can reach out and touch them. It becomes this abstract thing because they have an idea of what you now, because they got your political affiliation or whoever you voted for, which means you're this kind of person over here, and it means they're this person over here, and it's all this, I don't know, these symbols. It's kind of speaking for you, not you as a person anymore. It's like, well, because the narratives start defining who we are once those corners or the D's and the R's come in and who we voted for.
Right. It's about the golden rule. It's just about being kind to people. And if somebody's mean to me, I'm not saying I'm not going to stick up for myself. I think everybody that knows me knows that I'm not going to let people push me around. But it's about just maybe taking a second to think about what just was said. Even in a grocery store, my God, I can't stand to go to the grocery store. It drives me crazy because there's a lot of folks in the grocery store who are on their cell phones. They're talking to somebody, but they want you to pay attention to their conversation. Well, I don't go to the grocery store to listen to people talk on the phone. I go to the grocery store to get in and out as fast as I can. And you know how you go down an aisle and you turn the corner and there they are again. And there they are again. I just want to scream at them and say, would you stop it? But instead, I just sort of either try to get away from them as fast as I can, or if I'm in a really patient mood that day, I'll say hello or smile. But how do we deal with people who irritate us? Well, anybody that voted for Donald Trump can be an irritation to us. However, people tell me that if your guy had won, meaning Bernie, or if your guy hadn't been cheated by the Democrats, I would have voted for him in the general election. So not everybody that voted for Trump did it because they really supported Trump. They just really, really did not like Hillary. And I talked to 3 people just this week, right here from my area, that told me that very same thing.
Yeah.
So if I only talk to 3 people, think of the millions. Look at West Virginia. Look at the poor people in Ohio. They voted for Donald Trump. The majority of them voted for Donald Trump because they're desperate and they needed to hear something to hang on to that just maybe this guy will help us get jobs.
Yeah, absolutely, Portia. I agree with you 100%. A lot of people don't realize it's very simple. This election came down to 2 people, and it came down to 2 options: more of the same or something else. Like, that was it. And I'm sorry, I supported Jill Stein. I interviewed her several times, interviewed Ajamu Baraka several times. I tried to get Gary Johnson on the show because I wanted to give him exposure too. But a lot of people didn't know who Jill Stein was. In fact, I got to admit, I didn't know who she was until this election cycle when she ran back in 2012 and 2008. I didn't even know who she was until 2016. So the awareness was not out. So literally, there were 2 options. And one was, we're going to do what Obama was doing. And you remember Hillary's campaign was like a continuation of the Obama legacy. Keep going this way. And anyone who didn't agree with that being the way to go, they only had one place to go. Or they sat home. And what we saw was historically low turnout in the Black community. And then we saw people voting Trump. And that's how you get Trump, because they wanted something different. And it didn't mean they agreed with grabbing people's stuff, and it didn't mean they agreed with anything else, the wall, or maybe in some cases they did with the wall, but the majority of people just looked at it like, okay, I'm going to have this bad for me stew, or I can go get this surprise meal, which may be worse or better, I don't know, but at least it's something different. I don't want any more of that old stew. That's how I saw it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And a lot of the folks that voted for Trump are very poor people. And I want to really emphasize something, that just because you don't have a high school education or college education, it does not mean you're dumb. I know a lot of people that haven't graduated from high school, and they're extremely brilliant people. They just don't have book learning. And so it kind of bothers me when people say, well, it was just the stupid people that voted for Trump. Very highly educated people voted for Donald Trump. highly educated people did. Upper middle class people voted, and lower middle class did, and
Hmm.
the poor working people voted for him. And so when we look at the people who voted for him, some of them are just damn racist, and they don't give care about any of us. They're misogynistic. We know that. We see what they're trying to do to women's right to choose. They don't even want us to have birth control pills. They, and I don't call it pro-life, I call it forced birth. They want
Wow.
to make women and little girls have babies. And some folks may think I'm crazy, but I always remember when I first found out about what the message of Onward Christian Soldiers was all about. And I sometimes think that their whole goal is to make us pop out as many babies as we can, keep us as poverty stricken as we can. And then what other choice do young people have but turn to the service in hopes that they will get an education and at least they'll be making some money? There's a lot of poor Ohioans and West Virginians, and you go all across the poverty-stricken areas of our country, and that's the only alternative that young people have because they cannot incur the debt that it takes to go to college in America. There's no reason for it to be that way. College can be free just like in European countries, just like healthcare can be free. And then people say, "Oh well, if it's free, you're just a parasite. You want everything to be given to you." Well, we need to turn people's minds around and help them. Going back to what you were saying, just awareness. People are not aware that most countries in this world have universal health care. Even Russia does. My husband and I took a trip over there several years ago on our motorcycles, and we met the people of Russia, and they are really good people. I could not believe how generous and kind they were.
Wow.
And they wanted to bring us into their homes and feed us. And they were worried that we would be cold. And they would have given us the shirts off of their back. There was
Mm.
one lady that fed us at 2 o'clock in the morning because we had a flat tire on Jim's motorcycle. And that, I don't want to get too far in the weeds there. But my point is that the people, they didn't have rotten teeth. They had gold teeth. There was gold all over their mouth. And that came from the government knowing that even if they don't treat their people as well as they should, they at least know that they need to keep their people somewhat healthy. And
Mm.
that's one of the things I really loved about Bernie, and he still fights for it, is he realizes how necessary it is for us to have good dental care. People die all the time from infections that are created through the mouth.
Mm.
And so this universal health care issue is just nuts. It's just nuts that people have been taught that if we want universal health care or free college, or gee, maybe our prescription drugs shouldn't cost so much money, that somehow we're, the word's escaping me, we want handouts. What's that called? Freeloaders.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's about awareness.
Entitlements. Entitlements.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so and we've got to help people understand. I think one of the messages that we've really fallen down on is helping understand that people understand that when the Republicans talk about helping business, they're not talking about small mom and pop shops. They use this small business as a code for corporations, for the Koch brothers and the people who are making multi-billion dollars every year off the backs of the working people. And then the Koch brothers don't even want us to have a minimum wage, guys.
Wow.
Please remember, look up the Koch brothers, Koch. Look up ALEC, ALEC. There's an excellent website called ALEC Exposed.
Mm.
That's where your legislation's being written. They are writing boilerplate legislation, handing it over to the senators and the representatives at the state and federal level that they have bought, and they just throw it in there. So, going back to awareness and education and conversations with everyone, you don't throw that in someone's face. You focus on the issues, but from the boilerplate legislation is where the issues pop out in law. I hope
Absolutely.
I'm making sense. I hope I'm not rambling.
No, no, no. You're making excellent sense, and I that's why I'm so and how can I say committed to helping independent media, because I believe like media is the method of raising awareness. So you got grassroots, and grassroots teams up with independent media, which is what's happening right now, and you can get a message out even further, and you can give it more legs, and that awareness will spread. And I think that's the way going forward that we have to operate, not just in our own little silos, so to speak, but we all have to kind of join together in order to get those messages out. Because the fact that we have people, Portia, that actually believe that in the richest country that has ever existed on the planet, we can't afford to send kids to school, or anyone who wants to go to school, so they can compete in this highly competitive capitalist society is crazy. And the idea that in the richest country that has ever existed, we can't afford to give health care to our people, that for people to believe those things, that's got to be programming, Portia. Like I can't I can't see it any other way than for it to be the result of a intended messaging from corporate media in Hollywood or whatever too as well, that makes people believe that, because it's so illogical for people to accept that. So yeah, I agree with you. Portia, tell people about the summit again, um, and how they can get involved and what they can do, like where they can go and all about it.
Well, if you go to Ohio Progressive Alliance, we have a really great website that was built by Diana Cook, and it's amazing what she's been able to produce in such a short period of time. And then we're on Facebook, Ohio Progressive Alliance, and we're also on Twitter. But the Facebook is where you're going to read a lot more about Mobilize ADA. What we need is for more people to register, and we desperately need donations. There are so many people that want to come, but they can't afford to pay for a hotel and food. We have a really good menu, and we were able to negotiate with Deer Creek. By the way, I don't think I remembered to tell you where it was. It's Deer Creek State Lodge, and that's in Mount Sterling, Ohio. Some people say Sterling, Mount Sterling. And it's one of the most beautiful places in the state of Ohio. We didn't want concrete and asphalt. We wanted nature. And progressives like nature. We're fighting for Mother Earth. And so it just seemed like a really nice place to hold um, this summit. It is not horribly expensive when you compare the cost to staying in Chicago for the People's Summit. But for the hotel for 2 nights, it's going to run around $350. That's taxes and everything. And the rooms hold 4 people, so people could split the cost. And our menu for the entire weekend is $75, and that includes a Friday night reception, breakfast on Saturday, lunch and dinner, and then breakfast on Sunday. And so we need people to help us. When I was talking to you the other night, Tim, I said, this is I don't know how to put it. Maybe this is a real cornbread issue. Let's get the cornbread way up there on the table and take a look at it. We talk about our cornbread. We talk about our movements. We talk about all over the place. What do we see the progressive message? Organized at the local level. Well, Ohio is doing that. We are working our tails off. I know people that are putting 10, 12, 14 hours a day into this work as volunteers. By the way, nobody in our group is getting paid. We're all volunteers.
But Portia, I thought that Soros was funding this thing. You mean to tell me you need help from actual human beings? You're not getting funding from the DNC or Soros or I don't know, Peter Thiel or something? No big money person. I mean, what's going on, Portia?
Well, we jumped out on faith with zero money.
Wow.
Zero money.
Right.
And said, we're going to make this happen. I had some pretty powerful people telling me, Portia, you need to tone that down. You need to be careful. You're really jumping in there. And I'm like, oh, but I've been told so many times failure's not an option, right? So I will share something with you. If we don't get the money to pay for this, this is coming out of my pocket. That's how bad I want this. That's how bad I want it. Wow. So if anybody out there is watching supports what I've done, if anybody out there really, really means it when they say localize, organize at the local level, please give us a donation. Help me save my pocketbook. It's hard for me to say that. I don't want people to think that. I don't know. It's just weird for me to say that, but I want to share it. We really need your help.
There's people. Well, Portia, just because you shared that, I will share this. Just a word of caution for you to be careful, sister, because there are people who will offer to help you. And they're offering to help you. They're saying, hey, I believe in what you're doing. I strongly believe, hey, I want to do this for you. And then later, if maybe something at the summit is not exactly the way they thought it would be, or if you don't do everything exactly the way they think you should do it, now they come back and they say, well, I did this for you, Portia, and you betrayed me, Portia. You sold us out because you didn't do this thing. I don't know how you combat it. It's just something I've experienced. And I don't know, do you think about the repercussions of those people who give? Who later?
Well, I have thought about it in this sense. You give Portia something for this, you're not giving it to me, first of all. You're giving it to the cause. It is about grassroots. Grassroots is never going to be perfect. We're going to do our damnedest to make it the best.
People aren't perfect, Portia. People aren't perfect.
No way. No, I'm not. I make mistakes every day.
Wow.
Anybody that gets pissed off at me for doing my best, so be it. But go bitch for somebody else, because I can stand tall. I know that when I get involved in something, I take it to the limit. People get upset with me. They tell me I'm out of my mind, that it's all right the way it is. And I'm like, but it can be better. And if we thrive for excellence, we'll get the best a human can get. That's how I run my world. That's just how I run my world. So anybody that gives money to this cause, excuse me, you're not buying me. You're not buying Diana. And you're definitely not going to be buying us. We're hardworking folk. We went out on a limb. And by God, you will not buy me. Wow. I'm not bought. I'll never be bought.
Wow.
If you want to make constructive criticism, that's beautiful.
Wow.
Constructive criticism is absolutely essential, because the next time round, someone with goodwill in their heart can point things out so that we can make it better. After the People Summit, I couldn't believe it. We didn't get 24 hours worth of a really wonderful bubble of joy. People came on after People for Bernie and the nurses so hard. Damn, there was so much to celebrate. No event, whether you got 2 or 3 people together, or you have what they have over 4,000 people, you can't please everybody. Why couldn't progressives focus on the amazing, amazing achievements? I know how hard it is to do what we're doing, but to bring people all over the country, and I believe there were people from other countries there. It's just a part of the ball game. I've been a school teacher. I finally retired, actually. All of my parents weren't always happy all the time. And I'll tell you, Tim, those children weren't all happy at the same time ever, I don't think. I mean, even if we were having a birthday party, one of the little darlings would end up puking because they ate too fast. And, everything just isn't hunky-dory every minute.
There you go.
But I'm glad you asked that question, because let's say we got a really big donation. Oh, God, would it be wonderful with some organization out there. They're donating based on the goals of this event. And that's it.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes it gets into murky territory because they donate just because they want to be affiliated somehow with the name recognition of the event to say, hey, we supported that event. And they really might not have any input whatsoever other than be able to claim that, yeah, we're grassroots too. You know, so they may not actually be involved much, but it's just a connotation because, you know, we're readers. And I think a lot of progressives and liberals and conservatives and just the internet age altogether, libertarians, whatever you are, however you identify yourself, doesn't matter. But people use the internet and they look up stuff and they connect
Oh
dots.
yeah.
And sometimes those dots really don't connect the way we think they do. But guys, look, the Ohio Progressive Alliance, uh, we we definitely, I think we need to support this, and this is why I wanted to bring Portia on to talk about this because grassroots is where it's at, and we're talking about a boot camp, we're talking about a learning opportunity, and look, Portia, I feel bad. I did not know that Senator Nina Turner, was a professor who like teaches minds for a living. So like I'm
Oh
always
yeah.
watching her and going, she's so good. Well, hey, this is like kind of like what she's been doing for forever.
Yeah. And you know, when you think about it, our event to get in is free. You don't have to pay a penny for admission. It's your hotel room and your food. And so what would it cost to hire Nina Turner? What would it cost? What's the going rate for somebody at her level? I
Uh,
don't know what it
I
is,
have
but
no idea.
I know it's a whole lot more than $75 for a food for a weekend and $350 for 2 nights.
Right. You
It's
pay that to
it's
see her, not to actually stay somewhere. That's a whole nother thing. That would be just the entrance fee at one of these big, I don't know, Wall Street things if she she did a
Can
Hillary.
you imagine? Can you imagine? I don't know the number to put on Nina Turner because she's worth billions of dollars to me. Because
Yeah.
what will people get from this summit?
Mm.
An opportunity to be around like minded people, an opportunity to learn from amazing teachers. Anoa and Stacy are amazing
Oh
women,
yeah, Anoa.
brilliant,
Anoa is
brilliant women.
that's my little
And
sister. She is so on point and honest and real from her own perspective, and she has my full support, man. And I love what she's doing, and I'm glad she's able to like. I think people are really starting to notice her, and she's been grinding for years. I've had Anoa on my show two at least two times, and
well, and she don't play games.
no,
She tells the raw truth. I tell the raw truth. Nina tells the raw truth. Stacy does. Dan Sachs is a really, really good teacher, and he does it from a scientific, cognitive point of view in terms of messaging and talking to progressives, talking to conservatives. But think about our lineup. Who are the powerhouses? Black women. Black women. So we're being a role model too. We do not have to have any kind of meetings anywhere that just are white people. We have got to bring the Black women and the brown women and the Hispanic women and the Muslim women and all the other women. We've got to lift them up and start respecting them. I am sick to death. And there's a lot of white women that have been left out too. I can't, just because I'm white, I can't say that we haven't been left out. I am rarely in a conversation with men here in my community where they do not dismiss what I say.
mm,
Rarely am I in a conversation where they do not acknowledge an idea that I have. They twist it and turn it and make it sound like it was their idea if they like what I have to say. So white women face a lot of barriers of oppression too. I know wealthy white women who are really, really, really unhappy people because when that door closes at night, there's no smiling going on there. I know wealthy women right here in my community that are addicted to heroin. They carry their Bible to church on Sunday morning and they go shoot up when they get home. So white women don't all have it great either. But when you look at everything and you weigh it out equally, white women do have it better. But we're oppressed too. We've got white women, right, very young girls floating in our rivers down here in Ross County, Tim.
mm.
The sex trafficking trade runs right through our county. We've got a lot of young Appalachian women who are so damn poor. It's horrifying. It's horrifying. So when we bring the people together in the urban and the rural areas, we're going to connect by race. We're going to connect by age. We're going to connect by religion or non-religion. I don't care if you pray to God. I don't care who you pray to, as long as you follow the golden rule. I don't care if you don't pray to anybody. But what I want is just for people to come together, to care enough, to actually engage. And I've had several people reach out to me and say, oh my God, I'd love to be able to come to the summit, but I don't even have the gas money. So if any of the viewers can find it in their hearts to donate, I can't even begin to tell you how grateful I'll be to you, because I think of the progressives that are out here and either have not found out about things like we're doing, or they found out about it, but they can't come. It's just like progressives wandering in the wilderness. And we've got to figure out a way to bring them home to their family. How many times, Tim, have you talked to somebody who was thrilled to death just to be able to find other people that thought like they did?
Yeah.
It's such a relief to be validated in your mind when you're around a lot of far right wing people, and you're not going along with their program in your mind, but you have to somehow acquiesce to it because you have to survive in that circle of people. Can you imagine the torture they go through at night? Am I crazy? Was what Grandma said today really true? Wow. They get told lies. When I was teaching GED classes, I had a lot of right-wing students, and growing up in the Bible Belt, and they would say the most off-the-wall things, racist things, sexist things, and I was always bringing them back to fact versus opinion. And I'd say, well, how can you tell me that's true? Well, my grandma said it, and she reads the Bible. That was it. Grandma said it. She reads the Bible, so therefore it is fact. Yep. So we are working through all kinds of mindsets of lifetimes of learning fact, learning what Grandma said, learning what Dad said. It just goes on and on. So this isn't a battle that's going to win just because we have a conference on July the 21st. Mm-hmm. But what it is going to do is bring people together and give them an opportunity to celebrate what we've achieved and to learn. All of us can learn. I'm going to be learning. And then on Sunday, what I'm really excited about is that we're going to turn the learning into action. And the first session on Sunday morning will be the vision of Mobilize 88. And we're breaking people out into geographic areas across the state so that they can actually begin to develop an action plan. So that when they go home, they have a template or a map that they then in turn can tweak to the culture and the needs of their area. And so many times we have these amazing workshops and we have these camps, but people don't go home with anything to do next and how to get it done. So that's, to me, that's what makes this event very powerful, is that people are going to go home knowing this is what I'm going to do next.
I love it. And that is, I was about to make that point. You just made it for me. That's what's also so attractive about this particular event, is that you will be able to take away a game plan of what you can enact. So if you really want to do something, guys, you want to make an impact, and you don't, you want the action, the execution part, because that's the part we need the most, right? It's nice to have the theories and the understanding and, ooh, I got all this information in my head now. But if we can't go out and implement that, then what are we doing? Like, we got to have that piece, and that's what's so encouraging about this. Once again, it's the Ohio Progressive Alliance. It's in Deer Creek State Lodge, Mount Sterling. It's in Ohio. And once again, tell them where to go. Mobilize 88. Portia, tell them where to go.
Go to our website, Ohio Progressive Alliance, and you will see at the top over to the right you click on it and you'll see Mobilize 88. And then if you just click on Mobilize 88, it'll tell you all about the program. It'll tell you about our guest speakers. It gives you all the information you need. And then there's also a register button. You have to register. Do you hear me, guys? You have to register. We have to know who you are. We have to be prepared for you. Don't just walk in the door and think things are going to go okay. It's not. I'm sorry. Also, we have a lady coming clear from Texas. Our focus is Ohio, and we haven't opened it up to the general public, but we're in hopes that some folks from West Virginia, Progressive Alliance, will be able to join us. And I don't know, she's so busy running her campaign, but if you haven't heard about her, her name's Paula Swearingen. Paula Swearingen is a coal miner's daughter who lives actually close to a town called Coal City. Paula is running against Joe Manchin, one of the biggest dinos in the United States Senate. And I'm really hoping that she might be able to make it up to this event. But if not, I'm in we're about 95% sure that we'll get some West Virginians there. And in a couple of days, you're going to see on social media this opening up. But we wanted to make sure that the Ohioans had their first dib. But we got someone coming from Texas, and they're progressives. And I think that's pretty exciting.
Yes, it is.
So help us get them there. Help us get them there.
Yeah, guys, please go help out. And if you don't know who Paula Swearingen is, I'm a little disappointed because she was on this show. I interviewed her at the People's Summit. So, you definitely need to go watch that video to see the great work that you helped me be able to do at the People's Summit when I interviewed Paula there. And she broke it down completely, what she's fighting for in West Virginia.
She is just amazing. Another person that I hope I wrote the name down because I didn't want to forget. This is somebody y'all need to know about. And he's from California. I hope I say his name correctly. Mike Capciapelli. He's running for the mayor of San Francisco. And I just wanted to give him a shout out. Mike Capciapelli.
Oh,
Mike
Cap.
San Francisco. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right.
You know what? You're right. I've seen him on Facebook. I think Mike is someone that's been following me for quite some time, and now he's running. And I'm going to bring Mike on the show because that's what I do. And yeah, I know the Mike, and I know the spelling. It's Cappicola, or it's kind of a long last name. I'm gonna call him Mike Cap for short.
And also, we need to hear a lot more from Tim Canova. He's going up against Debbie Wasserman Schultz. We need to get behind him.
But he's got a D on his name. Portia, we can't support Democrats, remember?
I can support Republicans. I can do whatever I want. I'm focused on the issue. And Tim is a brave fella. He's going up against one of the nastiest women in our country. Get behind him, guys. Send him a buck or two.
I support Green Party. I support People's Independent Party. I support the progressive movement. I support any movement that I think is positive for the people. And look, guys, I don't fall into that thing where, he's like, I can't support Tim Canova because a Democrat. What? Look, support people in policies. Do that. That's right. What we need to do. And stop supporting parties. That's how we got freaking Debbie in there in the first place. That's why we got a Debbie. We shouldn't have a Debbie. Little Debbie should not be there. And not because she's a woman, Portia, because she's horrible. She's horrible. So
she is.
Look.
I'd like to see her behind bars. And I am glad. One other quick point is I'm glad that there is a DNC lawsuit. I'm tickled to death about it. But guys, we just can't dwell on the DNC lawsuit every day. We've got to push our country forward. There's some people, God bless them, I love them, and I can't begin to tell you how much respect I have for the attorneys that are involved in this. And, they've had their lives threatened. They put their self on the line, and it's remarkable. And we should support them, and we should share information. But that should not make our world go round, Tim, any more than any others. If we just get stuck on one thing, how will we move our country forward? There's still so many people that are so angry about what happened a year ago that they can't push past it. I'll be angry about that till the day I die. I had a candidate running for Ohio governor call me today, wanting me to come to an event that they're having. And I made it a point to let that person know that I'm still pissed off as hell about what happened. And I let that white person know that I will never in my life ever forgive what happened to Nina Turner at the DNC.
What? Real
they
talk.
might well have stripped our Nina down and tied her to a pole and whipped her like a slave. And she did not bend that backbone. And I'm telling you, what they did was raw, dirty, vile. But I'm not going to get stuck. Am I going to be angry about that for the rest of my life? You bet I am. And I don't know if that anger will ever even go downward, because I can feel my stomach filling up with acid just thinking about it. But I'm not going to let that stifle my opportunity to use my time and my talent to help make things better. And that's what I just encourage everyone to do. Be angry, but do something with it.
Yeah. That's a perfect way to put it. Be angry, but do something with it and change some stuff that we can change. Let's get involved. Let's do something. We got to fight back, and fighting back is more than just being angry on Twitter or Facebook making posts. We got to fight. And you know what? I think independent media has to take some of the blame, because we have to keep covering these issues, Portia, and we have to talk about these things. We have to broaden the conversation beyond the DNC lawsuit. But I don't fault Jared or Elizabeth for if they don't talk about it, no one else is going to talk about it. You look at the media blackout. But we have to, it's my job to cover as much as possible, because that shouldn't be their job to have to be media
Absolutely.
people too.
Yeah,
and
please let me underscore. I don't blame them for dwelling on it. They're living, eating it, and drinking it, and sleeping it 24/7. But I'm talking about just in general. People get angry if it's not covered enough. Well, it does need to be covered. Updates need to be given. We need to keep it out there. But we got healthcare. How many millions of people? 22, 24 million people may lose their healthcare.
Right.
So if you're just hung up on one thing, then you're not spreading the information. And if I could just say one thing to Twitter followers and to Facebook followers, those likes, those little hearts, those little laugh signals, whatever, they're so cute. But please retweet. Please share. I came on to social media back in 2009 so that I could learn and that I could help other people learn. People don't get the information if you don't share and retweet it. And I'm not in this to say, oh, I got 5,000 retweets. I'm in this because 5,000 people got to read something and got to learn. So please consider that. Please, guys.
Retweet.
It takes just as much time to hit a retweet as it does a like. And it almost becomes, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I am, Tim, but it almost seems like it's elitist. Like you're not quite important enough for me to retweet.
You know what it is, Portia? Now, this is just as from my perspective, from someone who has a following on Twitter. It's not as big as some people, because some people, I'm nothing. All right, so it's not about ego or anything. I followed, like in the beginning, I followed so many people because I felt following people back made them feel good. And I felt like if you can make people feel good for free, why not do it?
Yes.
Problem was, Portia, I didn't think about my timeline, right? So I follow right now 20,000 people. So when people see me retweet stuff, it's usually because someone DMs me. I don't, because I hardly see anything. I got a crowded timeline. So when I retweet people like Nico House or Lee Camp or Jimmy Dore, typically they've contacted me and they've said, hey, Tim, could you do this? Portia contacted me on DM. And I think some people, like right now I'm going through a thing where people did some things, they put some stuff out, and they didn't see my action in it, so they thought I was ignoring them. And that wasn't the case. It's just that I didn't see it because you didn't DM me or call me. And Portia, we talked on the phone. So, and
Right.
HA, we talked on the phone. I'm an old guy. I use phones for
Yeah.
business, not DMs and
Well,
text. So like that's just me. That's how I grow up. That's how I roll. So I think some of it is just we have to communicate and look, and let's assume the best out of people, not the worst. So and I may be wrong. Maybe some people are elitist. I've had some corporate media people tell me, "Oh God, look at this guy from the peanut gallery yelling from the peanut gallery." I'm like, "Who does this guy think he is?" But for the most part, I think if you do DMs, you get your message out. But definitely, guys, we need to share more, retweet more. People don't know. People are not paying attention. Your timeline is not someone else's timeline. They haven't seen it. They don't even know what's going on, and you're up there. You're upset with them because they're not sharing your stuff. Meanwhile, they don't even know you got stuff going on. I follow Portia and Anoa. I didn't know about this event till Portia called me. There you go. There you go. Perfect example. Perfect
Hey,
example.
don't forget Stacy. Don't forget Stacy Hopkins and Tara Mosley Samples.
Tara, I met Tara at the People's Summit. She's fantastic,
Oh
and
my
and,
God.
and then I got exposed to what she's doing. She's a councilwoman, right? Council member, right?
Yes, and she's on Facebook, and my God, she's busy.
I have to
She's
meet Stacy.
working for her. She is a public servant. Follow her on Facebook every day, boy. She's showing you what she's doing for her community. It's amazing how active she is. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Well, thank you so much, Portia, and Stacy Hopkins as well. Is that her name, Hopkins?
Yes,
Got you.
Stacy Hopkins.
Shout out to both of those magnificent people, powerful people, speakers of truth out there who are doing their thing. And also, big shout
Could
out.
I shout out one more person?
Sure.
Fran Bauer. She goes by Vote No GMO. She is an amazing woman. She's from Florida. She's a white hair like me, a ballroom dancer, tango dancer, and she makes an enormous amount of memes. She makes an enormous amount of memes for Nina for Ohio. She made an enormous amount of memes for Standing Rock and the fight against the pipeline. She does this all for free. And Fran Bauer is one of those heroes, those social justice warriors that nobody even knows about. So follow her, Fran Bauer. I think it's Fran Sylvia's daughter is her name, but her handle is Vote No GMO.
Vote No GMO.
She's out there all the time trying to push messages.
Look, Portia, this has been great. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday to sit down with me and to share with my community and with the broader community what's going on in Ohio and how urban and rural can come together, form an alliance, form Voltron on these issues, and really get some shit done. Thank you, Portia. The Ohio Progressive Alliance.com, guys. Go, please. Donate if you can. Offer your support in some way. Folks, hey, if you're going to give me anything today, give it to the Ohio Progressive Alliance instead. I love you very much. Love you so much, Portia, for all you do, sister.
Thank you, Tim. And you can vote anonymous or you can donate anonymously, guys.
You heard it. You heard it, guys. Hey, look, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the special edition with my friend Portia Boulger. I'll see you on another one. We'll see you Monday for No Sellouts, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with your friend and mine, H.A. Goodman. Peace, y'all.
Thank you.
And Portia,
weekend, Tim.
You too. And look, Portia, keep that cornbread in the oven now.
I will. Take care, my friend.
You take care
Peace
too.
out.
Peace.
Bye-bye.